Reflectors rely on discussions with others throughout their cycle of the moon to experience the different characteristics of who they are. And it's an interesting question for me because I look at it a little bit differently. The existential question is a larger question of who are they as well, meaning those around them. Is the community they're a part of healthy and correct? Does it make the reflector feel good? Is it frequently bringing surprises? Or is the reflector rather meeting disappointment time and time again? Because as you see, the not self theme of the reflector is disappointment. The disappointment signifies that the reflector isn't plugged into life. They aren't meeting with the appointment they have with the program. Because to be aligned with a greater cosmic dance, how can the reflector not be in awe of all of that? Um, the people and the circumstances around them that stand out to the reflector bring surprise for them. Their strategy is to wait 28 to 29 days every cycle because they have no definition on their own. They're easily identifiable. All 9 centers are undefined or opened. They're easy to identify if you have their body graph. Otherwise, they may just disappear into the background like a camouflage spaceship. Questions they may ask themselves are, who am I today? Can I be myself? Also, as we mentioned earlier, who are they, the larger community or individuals that are either homogenized or being uniquely themselves? So this is my body graph and mandala. When I was born in early July, the moon was in gate 9. And as you can see, the moon moves counterclockwise. That's what the illustration is showing here, through all 64 gates along the wheel, and it activates them. It clicks through all the gates. The lunar pattern is like a link in a chain that connects and aligns the direction of life for the reflector. And by tracking this motion, the reflector is able to be plugged into life on this scale that's unlike the other types. Because projector, generator, manifestor types are all solar beings, and the reflector is a lunar being. They are the ones most deeply conditioned by the cycle of the moon. And this transit of the moon allows reflectors to consistently process decisions through their unique lunar cycle and cellular connection to the moon. For that reason, the reflector can really benefit from creating a unique moon pattern for themselves. And it takes some work to do that up front in the early days of a reflector's journey. I took an ephemeris, which is just a handy tool that gives you the transits of the planets through each gate throughout the year. I honed in on the lunar transits and uncovered a pattern that occurs every month for me. The graph pictured here on the left is a sample of the pattern that I have, and the complete one includes all 64 gates. Side note, the Book of Human Design, the definitive Book of Human Design, has a full example of this, and I recommend anyone that's interested in seeing it to go check it out. But what I included on the right is a visual of what the complete pattern looks like as a mandala for me. Currently, the moon is transiting gate 35, and that's the second one down in the graph to the left. So if we look at the mandala, you can see gate 35 as a white or a reflector channel for me in my pattern. It's there towards the bottom left of the mandala, in between the blue gate 16 and the red gate 45. And I want to share an example of how I experience my pattern just quickly. This morning, I experienced my most recent temporary activation by the moon. It began at 4:53 my time, which is Central Standard, in the morning, with gate 16 being activated. There was a temporary definition of the splenic center and the throat. So later this morning, Carol and I actually spoke on the phone, and it was kind of incredible how we were able to get on the same wavelength and gain clarity on how to properly convey this message through the use of this slide here. I thought that was neat. And if we continue to follow the pattern, my next temporary definition is when the moon transits gate 45 at 1:05 a.m. tomorrow morning, my time. And this will create a throat to heart connection. And what I'll be taking in during that time is a manifesting energy that will be a part of what I filter through at the moment. It's one of many, many connections as part of a larger pattern. Um, so it moves counterclockwise around the wheel, and I can depend on it for definition throughout my cycle. And this visual of the wheel was really what made it stick or click for me. And it helped me make sense as to why I might feel different during certain times of the month. Because each gate has a mouthpiece that's constantly repeating once a month. And it's especially important for the reflector to use that and speak with others to soundboard as they process all the different potentials involved in a big decision. Because if they talk about it, they're going to experience if it's right or not in a lot of different ways. So it can be really rewarding to track this as much work as it may require upfront. For the transits, I'll again use my own chart as an example. Today, I have quite a bit of definition and experience myself quite differently than I did a day ago, 2 months ago, and even a couple hours ago speaking with Carol. There can be many different moving parts within the transit, considering all the planets and nodes as well. But again, to track a consistent pattern, I look to the moon, the reflector can look to the moon. Everyone can look to the moon. I hope you're enjoying the full moon today. The reflector and their interactions with the other. The reflector has a resistant and sampling aura, and it's important to note that they are not so much vulnerable to other people's conditioning. It's mostly the program. The interaction on their end involves an energetic, Teflon-like sliding off phenomenon. And there is some room for them to sample within the gaps of this line here, demonstrated in the center, but they aren't as fully impacted by the others. They're a lot more sturdy, and this allows them to view things more objectively. And eventually, they can even serve as a marker or a judge when in the correct time and environment within a community that really values them. Coming back to these existential questions, a big one is who is different? Who are they? Are they homogenized and like the same as every single other person? Because that's disappointing. Or are they different? Are they uniquely contributing to this world? Are they being themselves? It's surprising for the reflector to reflect back on something new, something refreshing and differentiated. And when it comes to the next steps for the reflector, I want to emphasize again how very much worth it was for me personally to create my moon tracking with the graph and the accompanying mandala visual, because it just helps me keep aware of all the energetic potentials and characteristics that come about every month for me. For each of the 64 gates, the reflector channels I experience, along with the manifesting and projecting and generating energies throughout the 28 to 29 day cycle. The IHDS also offers an incredible Rave ABC program that provides insights into what these channels mean for you once you discover them. There's a whole bunch of new and exciting information I learned about circuitries and different energies of the channels, and I highly recommend the Rave ABC course here. And of course, since a correct and supportive community might be the most important thing in a reflector's life, there's a great benefit in joining one specifically geared for reflectors by reflectors, offering support, going through life in this magical clicking wheel, this cosmic dance in the solar system. Okay, and just wrapping up here and popping out of the reflector lens and back into speaking about all of the types, living out strategy and authority allows a certain level of acceptance. Experimenting with your process, for me, has provided a sense of surrender for the mind, and it's a relief. For manifestors, it's helping them remember the fire that they have within. For the generator, it's a sense of liberation that you don't need to go out and initiate things, but rather allow what's correct for you to come into your energy field and simply say no to what doesn't resonate or feel good, and having it be a sacral response. For the projector, acceptance that those that are correct for you will come in due time. And for the reflector, there's an acceptance that you are different, you have a unique ability and gift, and with time and a good group of supportive people and larger community, clarity will come for you, and you'll be very supported by the larger program. So I'd love to hear if you had experiences with reflectors in your life. Please share those stories on the forum. If you have any questions for me or anything else about the reflector type, please post them as well. And thank you so much for listening to my presentation.
I want to ask you, Julie, thank you so much. That was so great experience for me too. Listening about the reflector from you. And my question is, how do you think who you are today is more relative to the lunar cycle, or transition of the moon? Transition of the solar, sun. So we are solar being, so except for a reflector. So we are more affected from the transition of the sun. But who you are, so how do you feel who you are today is more to lunar position or sun position? Maybe my question is not so clear. Sorry, my strange English.
I think I understand. For me, it's very subtle and nuanced with the cycle of the moon. And when there is new channels formed by the transit, like the 2034 in transit for all of us right now, I found that I kind of experienced those energies. I experienced those energies and along with the moon. It's kind of a big thing that I'm continuing to experience and observe how I take that in. I told Carol the long-term transits, this one with the jack of all trades, I think I'm getting to know pretty well because it's been there for a while. So, but then other planets move quickly around. So it's kind of, yeah, like a dance that I might not like observe it at all, and some days are more noticeable than other days or transits too. Julie, do you feel overwhelmed at times depending on who you are around? Do you like to plan activities if you can on the transits? Yes, I do feel overwhelmed. I'm very sensitive sometimes. And other times I really enjoy being out and about, but I think that depends on who I'm with, and what else is going on. I used to plan activities around the transits, but that got to be too mental for me.
Yeah, because I'm not so sure if I think I have the same question as Noriko, or maybe similar, but I understand in that in Julie's chart she doesn't have any gates activated in the integration channel. So and now we have 3420 and Sun on and Earth. So the Sun and the Earth is not doesn't affect a reflector so much as the moon, or still is impactful?
The 3420 definitions, I feel maybe a bit stronger. And ones like the 2343. I have been feeling that, yes, but I don't have enough experience in my process yet to really provide the insights that I would feel good about sharing yet with it. Have you felt you have ever been called out by any group or person for your reflective insights? Yes, and sometimes it makes me feel very uncomfortable. Uh, Especially around human design communities, and I'm the only reflector. I tend to enjoy having another reflector with me in those cases. I think this is a different type of environment for me to share. I feel comfortable here doing that, um, about this content. But again, I think I'm still a baby in all of that. And I'm just going to have to kind of gain more experience with this awareness, how I navigate being called out to do something like that.